Alright, hey, Hayes Mega here, and welcome to the after action review for the NNKC, or Sierra Nevada Moto Championship 12-hour endurance race. Alright, this is the second event they put off in 2025. Alright, it took place on May 25th, 2025. Alright, Memorial Day weekend. Alright, and it is the day after, so that's why this is the after action review, which is what was supposed to happen, what really happened, and things that we could do to improve in the future, alright? Or things that went well, you know, that type of stuff. Yeah, okay, so here's what was supposed to happen. So I signed up for this race. Last year, I raced a 24-hour race in Reading, alright? Shasta Supermoto had a 24-hour race, and it was nuts, alright? I wish I had done it the other way around, do the 12-hour, then the 24-hour, alright? You gotta, you work your way up, but Hayes Mega went straight for the 24, alright guys, and it was pretty wild, and yeah, so that's what I remember from last year. It was like just total chaos and drama and all that stuff. All that crazy stuff was gonna happen, and that's what I was in it for, alright guys. So like, I was in it for the racing, but I was also in it for the drama, okay guys, and there's plenty of it, alright? What can I say, alright? It's just kind of crazy, the stuff that happens, and I love it. Okay, but yes, I did have to do some racing. Okay, guys. So here's the story. How I got signed up in this. So Northern Nevada Kart Club Mini Moto was gonna host a 12-hour endurance race. All right. So last year they did. Last year there was the Shasta Supermoto 24-hour race. And now we got it at Desert Park Raceway in Reno, alright? One of my favorite places to go racing, alright? And so it's a mini moto race, alright, at the Desert Park Raceway for 12 hours, alright? The idea was to start the race at 8 a.m. and then end the race at 8 p.m., alright? Just before the sun came down. So that way we wouldn't have to have any lighting on the track, which is a good idea, alright? Works for me. Alright, yeah, so this time of year, around 8 o'clock, alright, some spoilers, alright, around 8 o'clock, it's just like, it's right at twilight, okay, so there, you can still see enough, alright. I'll be out there riding until you can barely, it's like totally dark, okay? It's still safe, alright. But anyway, so that's a scoop, alright, 12 hours, 8 to 8. And we get a race mini bikes, all right? So there's a lightweight class and a heavyweight class, all right? Okay, I got the class list here, okay? So also another reason I like making these videos is so people can they can watch and listen to my my story, my experiences with this, so they kind of know what they're gonna get themselves into if they want to do something like this, okay, guys? So yeah. Alright, that's why I like doing these after action review videos. So anyway, there's a lightweight and a heavyweight class. So there's minimum ages, okay? So for lightweight, it's 12 years old, and heavyweight, it's 15 years old, okay? That's the youngest rider you can have. So it's like, I guess, teenagers and above, alright? I guess as long as you can ride the bike, I don't think it really matters. All right, guys. Engine specs. All right, for lightweight, 2-stroke with the max displacement of 68 cc, and 4-stroke air-cooled max displacement of 160 cc. Oh, damn it! I know. So it's basically the mini class. All right, that's what the mini class is, and then heavyweight, I believe, is like a super mini. All right, so 15 years old is the minimum age limit, okay, guys? And then, so 15 plus. Engine specs, 2-stroke, max displacement 112 cc. So you can race like a KX 110. There you go. Or 4-stroke, air-cooled, okay, guys? So kind of like a KLX 140, all right? 234 cc. And then 4-stroke, water-cooled is 159 cc, okay? So you could race, so that's basically a super mini is what that is, okay? And so the bike that Hayes Omega was going to race on, all right, that my team was on, it was a heavyweight, okay? It's a heavyweight bike. And so Hayes Omega signed up for the same team that we raced in last year in the Shasta race, all right? The team was Ramrod, all right? Who made up that name? I did, okay? Here's the story. Errol is our team captain, all right? And Errol asks everyone for a name of our team, all right? And we're in a group chat, right? And nobody makes a name for the team, and I just kind of just put it out there. Let's be Team Ramrod, right? Kind of like, so Team Ramrod is from that movie Super Troopers. Okay, guys, if you ever watched Super Troopers, there's the two troopers, and one of them is man. So it's two Super Trooper. It's two of the Super Troopers names put together. All right, guys. So it's a Rod and Ram. All right. So those are part of their names. So they named their car Ramrod or something. Okay. So I just threw that out there, Ramrod, and so that's our name for now. Okay, guys. It's kind of cool. Also, if you don't know what a ramrod is, it's the rod that you stick in the barrel of a cannon to like push the projectile into it. Okay, that's what's called a ramrod, all right? Or like I guess when you're trying to clean the bore or something, that's a ramrod. Okay, so that's kind of what it is. It's kind of just a weird name, all right? I wish I'd chosen something cooler, but I just threw it out there, and then the name kind of stuck. So we've used it like 2 years in a row now. Okay, guys. Yeah. Okay. And so Errol is the team captain, and he's the owner of the bike. He's the owner and the builder of the bike that we're racing. All right. I think our bike is 216. Man, I didn't even take a picture of it, dude. Our bike was 216, and it's a kind of Franken bike, all right, guys? It's a KTM 500, all right? It's a KTM 500 Super Moto, all right? And so it's got a full-size frame, all right? Full-size frame, it's got good suspension, and it has a CRF 230 engine in it, okay, guys? So, yeah, so 230 is like kind of like the biggest... it's the most common air-cooled mini supermoto, okay, guys? The 150R is like the most common water-cooled one. This is probably the most common air-cooled one, okay? Of course, you can race something smaller if you want, all right? But it's your advantage to have the biggest bike or fastest bike that you can to be within the rules, okay, guys? Okay, so the limit is 234cc air-cooled, okay? So the 230 falls within there, I think. I'm not sure. I think we have a big bore kit on ours. How big it makes it, I don't know, all right? All right, so the CRF 230 has a displacement of 223, all right? So we're probably under 240 somewhere. That's my guess, all right? I don't know the exact specs of the Ramrod bike, okay, guys? But that's what it is, all right? That's the Ramrod bike. It's a KTM frame with a CRF 230 engine, right, to bring it into compliance. I'm not gonna lie, I've raced the CRF 230 with the CRF 230 before. I've ridden it a couple times. I've raced against them a bunch of times, all right, and it's just all torque, all right. It's all the power is down low in the middle. It doesn't rev very high, but it does have a 6-speed gearbox. Okay, so that's one of the good things about it. So you'll be shifting all the time. That's what I say, right? I am not particularly fond of the 230, okay, guys? I like my KLX 140 a lot better, okay? But hey, that's what we got to race, and it's a Honda, and it's CRF 230 air-cooled. It's a very reliable machine, all right? That's supposedly, all right? And that's what you want. Sometimes you want to give up some reliability for some performance for reliability, okay, guys? And that's definitely what the 230 has, reliability. At least we think so. Okay? Okay, so that was the bike that we were racing, okay, guys? So it has the ergonomics of a big KTM Supermoto with the power of a CRF 230, okay, guys? It's not very fast. Yeah. So if I had to explain how it feels like to ride, yes, it's big, it's comfortable, it has good suspension, it has very good brakes. All right, it has a huge, like a 320 millimeter rotor or something. All right, We never weighed the bike. I don't know how much the bike weighs. It's got to be somewhere in the 200s. All right, that's my guess. It's not very heavy. It's kind of on the tall side because it's a full size frame. All right, but yeah, it's a big bike with a little engine. Okay, so is how I can explain it. All right, guys. And yeah, it does okay. Okay, and we're running dot. We were running dot tires on it. I think they're like a Dunlop. There was some kind of sport bike tire on there. Okay, guys. So the reason we run a dot tire is so they last longer. Okay, they don't give you the most grip, but we want the longevity. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So that remember that longevity. Okay. So yeah, that's the Ramrod bike. That's the bike that we're gonna race. We're on Team Ramrod, so here's, and that was the plan. Hazemaker signed up to race with that team, and then we kind of a few months before we were gathering teammates. All right, and so the final roster was me, Errol. All right. Me, Errol, and Owen. All right, we were the original Ramrod members from last year. Nick was with us last year, but he decided to do some freaking iron butt marathon. He was going to race it by himself, okay, guys? So we lost Nick, unfortunately, all right? And we had Samuel, all right? Samuel was another of the original Ramrod team members from last year, okay? And I believe there was 4 of us originally from the last year, and then we had Kevin and Georgie, all right? So we had 6 people on our team, all right? And I think I met Kevin somewhere before. He looked familiar. I didn't ask him. And then we had Georgie. He's from San Francisco, okay? Owen is from Redding. Samuel, I think Samuel's from the Bay Area somewhere. Man, I forget. And I'm from San Jose. Errol's from Sparks. I think he's from Sparks, Nevada. Sparks or Reno, that area, and yeah, okay. So that's a scoop. So there we had like we're a 6-man team, and so we kind of planned it out where for the 12 hours we were gonna do 1-hour stints. Okay, so last year it was 24 hours, so we had like a lot, and so what we did is last year with the 24-hour race, we had 2-man teams, all right, and they were rotating every 30 minutes on and off the bike, all right, and then they would go get the next team, and then they would do 30 minutes each, and then get back on the bike, all right. That way we keep the riders fresh, all right, make sure everything is topped off. But we decided this year to do, for 12 hours, it's not quite as strenuous. We can push ourselves a little harder. So we decided to do 1-hour stints, okay? So basically, one rider gets on for 1 hour, and then after that, another rider gets on for another hour, and then so on, all right? And then when we run out of riders, we would just rotate back, okay? But it didn't quite work out that way. I'll let you know why, okay? And yeah, all right. So that was supposed to be our strategy, okay? And so Errol had made up a list of who's going to race at what time, so that was handy, so the race was 24 and 25. May 24th was the practice date, and 25th was the actual race, okay? So that's on the 8th of the 25th, the race would start, and the race would end at 2000 or 8 p.m., okay? For you non-military time folks. Yeah, okay, so here's I guess we'll just go over what's gonna happen. All right, guys. So that's what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to go there and we're gonna race. Okay, guys. So Hazemaker loads up the car with all my stuff. I bring my fuel jug with me. All right. I think we got a couple fuel jugs among us. The 24-hour race, man, we were going through fuel like freaking crazy. All right. 24 hours is a lot of fuel to go through. All right. 12 hours. Not so bad. So I brought my fuel jug. I think I got like a 3-gallon fuel jug is what I got. Yeah, it's over there. So I brought some fuel, and then I think there was like 2 or 3 more jugs. Okay, and Spoilers, we did not run out of fuel, okay, guys, so that's good. And if not, we probably could bum some fuel off of some other team, okay, guys? It wouldn't be, I don't think it would be too bad, all right? And so we knew a lot of the other racer teams, okay, guys? But anyway, so I load my car up with all my stuff. I bring some tools. I bring my pit scooter. I bring the WR250E. That's why it's kind of in the video, okay, guys? I didn't bring it. I brought it just to ride at the track, okay, guys? Just to see how I've never ridden it on a kart track before, and it freaking rocks, okay, guys? But it overheats, okay? That's another problem. But yeah, I took it just to have fun and to get some more seat time before the race, all right? But yeah, really should be relaxing before the race. You should be relaxing, but you should also be familiarizing yourself with the bike, okay? So that was the goal, all right, to go there on Saturday and then familiarize yourself with the bike, all right? And so, well, yeah, so for what I understand, Errol told me that he was going to take the stuff off of the KTM frame, put the 230 back in the 230 frame. However, it didn't happen, all right? Things happened, and he didn't have time to do the swap back. So he just took the KTM Honda Franken bike, okay? The Ramrod bike from last year. Okay? And then, so yeah. Last year we had like a host of problems with the bike, okay? With the clutch overheated. And then the clutch overheated and we had to take the side cover off a bunch of times, and then the gasket started leaking, and then it started pissing oil out all over the place. And so after about the 12-hour mark, the motor blew itself, okay? I guess the piston ring got starved or something, and then it got messed up, okay? And then so Errol basically, yeah, he just rebuilt it. He rebuilt the top end, and then we got some fresh brake pads in there, and then some pretty fresh tires. All right, and then that's pretty much it. All right. He also, oh yeah, we cracked the motor mount from last year, and so he fixed that also. Okay, so the rear motor mount was cracked. All right. Remember that, all right? All right, and then so, yeah. So I go there, I drive up to Reno, all right, and then so first I go get gas at Costco, and then I go to Mavericks, and I get some food, all right, I get food for the practice day, and then some food for the next day, all right, but there was actually a lot of food the next day. And then, yeah, so we get there, and I think I gotta wait for Errol, so I go out on the track on the WR250E. Okay, I'm not going to talk about that, all right? But yeah, I had a whole lot of fun riding the WR250E. And then I saw the bike, and I was like, oh, hey, this is the same bike from last year, all right? Oh, okay, well, no surprises, okay? And we get out there. Hayes Mega rides it, and so I told Errol, I was like, yeah, I just want 20 minutes on the bike, so to familiarize myself with the bike, all right? And just to see how reliable it was. So I went out for about 20 minutes. Also, another thing I was supposed to do is put my GPS on the bike, okay? So I had a RAM mount, and alright, so I wound up putting the GPS on the bike at night, alright, really late at night, and then I realized, oh shit, I ran out of handlebar mounts, alright? So most of I think the mount that I normally use for that bike was it's a U-bolt. Alright, it has a U-bolt with a RAM mount on it, and then you just bolt it to the handlebar. I have plenty of U-bolts, but I didn't have the RAM mount. Like, what happened? I must have put it on something. I must have put it on one of these bikes. So I ran out. I gotta go buy some more, okay? And so I have a little kit. I have a kit that I built, so if I'm gonna ride another bike and I want to put my GPS on it or my phone mount, I can just attach a RAM mount to the bike somehow, okay? And so that's what I did. All right, that's what I did when I went to Japan, okay? When I rented a bike. We're going to run my Garmin eTrex 20, all right? My good old Garmin eTrex 20. It runs off of AA batteries, but it's very, very battery efficient. It can last a long time. If you turn the backlit display off, you can save a whole lot of power, okay? It's just like at night you can't see anything, so you got to change the backlight on. But we're racing in the daytime, so it doesn't matter, right? So the display on the GPS is pretty cool. when the light shines down on it, it actually gets brighter. Okay, guys, it's kind of weird. It's kind of reverse. You would think it's reverse, like because usually when the sun shines on a LCD display, it gets harder to see, right? But it's the opposite. That it gets brighter. I've never seen a screen that does that. Okay, but it works. Okay, and it saves a lot of power. And so we were going to use that to keep track of our time, right? Yes, we could have just put a watch on the handlebar or something, but at least this way we can track, our speed, how our max speed, elapsed time, total time, that kind of stuff. Okay, but the important thing is, yes, we need an accurate clock, and you cannot get a clock more accurate than a GPS. Okay, because the GPS, if you guys don't know how it works, it receives GPS data from the GPS satellite, and what did they have on a GPS satellite? An atomic clock. All right, atomic clocks are the most accurate clocks in the world. Okay, guys, if you didn't know, all right, FYI, Hayes Mega learned that in avionics class. Okay, anyway, so yeah, so Hayes Mega was put the display on there, but I didn't have it when during practice because I didn't want to drain the battery all the way. Okay, Hayes Mega should just bring freaking a AA battery charger with them. Okay, but yeah, that's the same. It's the same one that I use when I go to the track to get the GPS tracks when I race on the track. It's the same one I use when I race Virginia City Grand Prix. Or when you see my videos and you see the track, the map and the track and everything, that's the GPS I use. Okay, guys, that's been my go-to GPS for like 20 years now or some shit, man. It's amazing. It still runs. It's awesome piece of tech. Okay, all right. So yeah. So there's that. And then so yeah, I went out on a track for 20 minutes, and we were trying to rotate. I got acquainted with my team members. All right, I met everybody. I know Owen a lot. Me and Owen raced a lot. Yeah, we raced against each other a lot. All right, he's from Reading, and then yeah, so Errol was there. I think Sam showed up later, and then there was Georgie, and then Kevin showed up. Okay, so yeah, the whole Ramrod team was assembled. All right, and so the weather for the weekend was supposed to be in the 80s. Okay, it was going to be in the 80s, and then towards the evening it would get cooler. It would be like 70s, 60s. It was nice weather. Okay, however, yeah, when at its hottest, it was pretty warm in the 80s. Okay, guys, so to be out there an hour on the bike in the 80s is kind of tough. Okay, that's what I'll say. All right, at least it's not 90s or 100, man. So okay, so that's a scoop for the weather. That was what the weather was like for the whole weekend. Also, at the end of the day, the next day, so spoilers, right? It got cloudy towards the end of the day. All right, so it cooled down like a whole lot. All right, so we'd probably lose a whole lot of grip. Okay, okay, so yeah. So we're getting some practice on the bike. We're doing a shakedown on the bike. The bike seems to be running great. Yeah, so I was trying to get 20 minutes on the bike. I think I got about 20 minutes, and then I got tired, man. I was like, oh, I'm kind of tired. All right, and I'm trying to figure out how to ride this bike again. Okay, it's a unique kind of bike, the 230, man. It's not the fastest. It's not the fastest pony out there, man. But yeah, and it's a big frame and stuff, so we got to figure out how it works. And I've never ridden it at Desert Park Raceway before. Okay, so we're trying to get people on the bike, and we're trying to see how much the fuel consumption on the bike is with the tank that we got. All right, so remember our plan was 1 hour stints. So we're trying to keep the bike on the track for 1 hour. All right, at a race pace. And see what the fuel consumption is. And so by the time we did about an hour of rotations, everybody on the bike, and we still had fuel. Okay, so another thing is our gas tank doesn't have a reserve. Okay, so if we run out of fuel, you really ran out of fuel. Okay, so it kind of sucks. So just make sure you don't run out of fuel, or else you're gonna push that sucker back. Yeah. So after we were done with it, there was still a little bit of fuel left, maybe about probably less than a quarter tank. All right, so we're good. We could probably go for more than an hour, but yeah. So that was the plan. We're gonna do rider swap, refuel the fuel every hour. All right, so just to keep the amount of stops down. All right, and then so that was pretty much it for the day. All right, and then Errol changed the brake pads on the bike, so we would have fresh brake pads Like I mentioned, the brake pads are the brakes are very good. They got Brembo brakes on it. They're the 4-piston calipers with big old freaking rotor and everything. Yeah, if it's not very fast, but it slows down really fast. Okay, so that gives us an advantage going into the corner at high speed. We can slow down faster and then get back on the throttle. All right, I love the brakes on that bike. If it's one thing that if it's one thing it excels at, it's braking. All right, and braking is very important. Okay, especially when you have to do it for 12 hours. Okay, so you probably want to get the best brakes you can get. All right, and hopefully your guys aren't like, you're working the brakes too hard. Okay, Hayes Mega is actually very conservative when he rides. All right, I don't use a whole lot of brake. All right, unless I have to. All right, I'm a really light braker. Okay, yeah, so. Which means I'm not very fast. Okay, I don't use the full threshold braking. All right, is what they call it. Okay, anyway, so yeah, so the bike is ready to go, and so just Errol leaves it there for tonight, and I'm camping there, and then we're gonna go race the next day, and so all sorts of drama and stuff happens before the race. Okay, guys, so I'll kind of talk about it. Oh, I'll talk about the other teams. Okay, yeah, so while I was there, I was trying to figure out who's who, who we're racing against. Remember, there's the heavyweights and the lightweights. All right, so I'll go over the heavyweight since that's the class that we're in. Okay, guys. So we're the Ramrod team. There was a team called Supermoto Syndicate. All right, they were racing Jeremy's 150R. All right, CR 150R, very fast bike. Okay, guys. I've raced against it many times, and I've got my butt whooped by it many times. All right. And then there was another team called M Factory West, and they were running what looked like a it's another Franken bike like our bike. Okay, guys, it was like a KTM frame with a Suzuki DR200 engine in it. Okay, and it was a highly modified DR200. What they did to it, I'm not sure, but the builder of the bike kind of briefly talked to us at the end of the race, and I learned that, like, yes, it has all sorts of shit done to it. Okay, so it's like pretty much everything has been modified in the engine. All right, and so remember that. Okay, and then I think there was one more. Oh, there was a Squid Factory. All right, Squid Factory was one of the Nighthawk teams from the 24-hour race also. Okay. It was the red Nighthawk. There was a black Nighthawk and a red Nighthawk that raced in the last race, and something happened to the black one. But the black one was actually the one that won the race last time, right? And then the Squid Factory bike, I don't know. I don't think I can't remember. They had all sorts of problems with that Squid Factory bike, man. All right, and no surprise, they had problems with that bike during the practice day. Okay, guys. So they were out there, and then the chain slider or chain guide. Okay, the thing that protects the swing arm from the chain, all right, to keep it from rubbing it. It came off, all right, and it got wedged between the. I don't know how that happens, man, but it got wedged between the sprocket. I think it got wedged between the sprocket and the chain, and then it got stuck on the case, the left side case, and it jammed it, all right, and it threw the rider off. All right, I think the rider's name was Skip. All right, I got to hang out with him quite a bit that night. I just want to say he's an interesting guy. Okay, he's a hell of a rider too, and then yeah, so they were all night. They were trying to get this chain extracted from the case because it was jammed in there, and they tried everything. They tried pulling it with the quad, trying to pull the chain. They cut the chain and they pried all this stuff, and then they found out that it actually windowed the left side case. All right, but it didn't look too bad. Also, they found out that the shifter shaft or the counter shaft was bent also. So yeah, no bueno. Okay, no bueno, guys. So I spent most of that night shooting video of them trying to swap the engine. All right, so they swapped the engine from their black bike to the red bike. Okay. Oh, so yeah, another thing I want to mention is that there's no backup bikes. Okay, so in a 24-hour race, you could use a backup bike. All right, if you switch to your backup bike, you would get like a 10-lap penalty or something. Okay, so it's to your advantage to not have to use your backup bike. But if you're SOL, then at least you got something else to ride, all right? And so that was the case for us last year because we blew up our motor at the 12-hour mark. So the KLX came in to save the day, all right? Unfortunately, Hayes Mega had offered. I had offered to use to have my KLX 140 as a backup bike, or it's actually a KLX 170. Okay, guys, I had offered to use the KLX 170 as our backup bike, but Jeremy told me they don't allow backup bikes, unfortunately. Okay, so the next best thing is to have a parts bike. Okay, and that's what the Squid Factory guys had. They had the Black Nighthawk. Okay, so they swapped the engine from the Black Nighthawk to the Red Nighthawk. It was filthy. It had all that asphalt and stuff on it. I remember last year I cleaned my KLX and it was so dirty after that 24-hour race, man. And it only did 12 hours. And we had to clean the engine all, and then we moved it over there. They got on there and it started running around 2 o'clock in the morning. I took it out. I took this bike out on track because it had a headlight, and we had Jeremy follow me just to see how it worked, and it was freaking terrifying going out on the track at that time, all right? It's pitch black, and you're just trying to ride with just that headlight, all right? The headlight is not the best headlight in the world, okay? What can I say? Okay, and yeah, and it ran, so there's that. And then so they had, so that was the Squid Factory bike, all right? They had all sorts of problems. And then there was supposed to be another 150R team, but some drama happened between the team members. All right, this guy named Max, this guy that he ran me off the track in Stockton. All right, and then he started talking a lot of shit with me, and yeah, so apparently, you know, there was like a bunch of back and forth about, oh, what, you know, something happened. They were gonna race a 150R, and then he said something happened to the engine, like the valves got bent or something. And then so they were going to use Mac's 150R, and then Mac decided, oh, I don't want to mess up my bike, blah blah blah. And then he's, you know, and then they decided, so they were going to race a Kaio. Okay, so we're going to go into the lightweights now, all right? So since they're not going to race a heavyweight, they're going to race a lightweight. It's a Kaio 150 is what they're racing, all right? It's a little Chinese mini sport bike, okay, guys? Not the most comfortable bike, but it's a great little bike, all right? With the right rider, you can be pretty fast, okay, in the mini class. So that's what they were racing. Also, they had another one, I think. So that team was named Team Smash, okay, because Johnny Smash, all right, all right. That was I guess he's the team captain or something. And so that was yeah, that was Johnny, his son Sam, and then there was Mark Jr., all right? Mark Jr. is a really fast rider, okay? And I think they had another Mark on their team, too. They had a guy that was racing on 2 teams, okay? I guess there's something that says you can do that, right? So, yeah, so there was that Kaio 150 race team, okay? And then there's a team called Slick Hicks, all right? That's the Slick Chicks bike from last year, the all-female race team with the KLX 140, but now there's dudes in it, so they call it Slick Hicks, okay? And, what else? Oh, and then they had the Mile High Siders, okay? That was a TTR 125, which Tom Lin was, I guess he's the team leader for that. All right, and then I'm not going to go over all the team members, guys. I kind of know everybody, but yeah. And then there was Nick Chick, okay? Remember, Nick was on our team from last year. Well, now Nick is on his own team this year, all right? And he had what was called a celebrity relief rider, all right? So it's technically a 2-man team, but Nick is going to race the majority of the race himself, okay? The idea behind the relief rider is if he ever needed to go, you know, if he had to go use the bathroom, or get more water, or yeah, eat something, you know, he could pit in and then swap riders, and then he could take a break. Okay, guys, so because 12 hours, man, that's grueling. I don't think that's not. Honestly, if you're on a bike for 12 hours, that's not a healthy thing. Okay, guys. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Okay, but he's a freaking animal. Okay, what can I say, Nick Nick. All right, it would have been nice to have him back on our team, but he was going to do it by himself this year. Okay, yeah. So there you go. Those are the 8 teams that are racing. All right. There was 4 heavyweights and 4 lightweight teams. Okay. And yeah. So technically, you know, if you see a small bike pass you, you're not really racing against them. Okay. But you know, it's a race, and you know, people get competitive. All right. But the important thing is to keep your bike going. Okay, guys. That's the important thing. You got to be able to finish the race and not break your bike. Okay. All right, so yeah, those are the teams and everything, and then that was some of the drama that was happening. I saw the M Factory West guys practicing. Dude, that bike is so fast. This bike can't even keep up with it. Okay, I guess they were saying some of the 450s were having trouble keeping up with it. Is what I say. All right, yeah, it was fast, man. I don't know exactly what they did to that bike, but it was fast. All right. And then so the 150R was Jeremy's bike, the one that I've been racing against a lot, and they said there's all sorts of shit wrong with it. The fork seals were leaking, the caliper was going to fall off, and a bunch of other stuff. Okay, guys? I don't want to get too much into detail, but yeah, they had to do a lot of stuff on it, and they had to do test rides and stuff, and they did the same thing we did, all right? Figure out the fuel consumption and all that stuff. Yeah, and that's all the stuff that I can kind of recall on the practice day. Okay, so practice day is ended, and then yeah, Hayes Mega didn't go to sleep until like 3 o'clock at night. Okay, guys, like the bike got done around 2:30, and then I did some stuff for half an hour before I went to bed, and then I wake up at like about 7 o'clock, ready for battle. All right, hopefully not really. All right, I didn't get enough sleep. That's for sure. All right, that'll come into play later. Okay, so yeah, so 8 o'clock is when the race starts, and then so we have a riders meeting at like 7:30, somewhere around there. All right, they go over all the rules and everything. So we're using RFID sticker. Okay, normally they use those freaking MyLapse transponders. It looks like a pack of cigarettes, all right, and you gotta strap it to the bike somewhere. But they use the RFIDs. They have a new RFIDs timing system. So all you gotta do is put the sticker down somewhere, register it with the computer. All right, so all the teams have to put a sticker on their fender. All right, so hopefully you don't break your fender during the race. Yeah, so there's a sticker on the fender, and then so when you go under the transponder, it ticks your box. All right, you say, hey, that's 1 lap. This is your time. And so also they had a computer. All right, they had a computer screen that every time a bike came by, it would update the status. They had a list of all the teams, the race teams and everything, and it had the times and all that stuff. It was kind of iffy, at the start, but Richard, the dude was working on it. He got it working pretty good. All right, it was really nice to have. You can see all the lap counts and everything, and what the last lap was and the best lap times throughout the day. It was really, really nice. Okay, we didn't have to go up into the little tower and ask him, hey, what's the scoop? Who's winning? Who's losing? How far this and that? We knew it in real time. All right, and yeah. Also, nice thing they had is they have a hydration station, and they had a bunch. They had 2 coolers, one with a bunch of waters in it, and another with a bunch of little Gatorades in it. All right, that was very nice. I like that. Okay, definitely. Heat will kill you. Okay, if you don't drink enough liquid. All right, especially if you're going to be out there for a long time, and especially if it's hot. Yeah, it could be deadly. Okay, so make sure you drink up. All right. A lot of the riders, they wore camelbacks. You can bet Nick Chick was wearing the camelback. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we actually started the race a little late. And then yeah, also they had to show you what all the track entrance and the exits and stuff. So this is the way the pitting works. Okay, guys. The race is counterclockwise on the track. All right. This is the configuration they use at Desert Park Raceway. I know if you're not familiar with it, then you probably won't know. Okay, guys. But we're using short 3. We're not using the long 3. It's the rest of the track. I don't think they had the bus stop, all right, at the exit. and then there's a pit exit on the right at the end of the track. That goes to the refueling pit. All right, I think you call it. I think it's called a hot pit. All right, so you go there, and you have to shut the bike off, and then you can refuel the bike there. All the refueling is from the hot pit. All right, guys. And then if you have to do some kind of work on the bike, you need to go out into the regular pits. All right, you go to your pits inside the pitting area. All right. That's where all all the vehicles are parked, and all the the pit area. All right, so there's a hot pit and the pit area. So if you need to like change a wheel or do some kind of work on the bike, then you got to take it to the pits. Okay, and I guess that's a good question. I guess you could refuel. You could refuel from the pit area, I guess, but you're supposed to refuel from the hot pit. Okay, so what would happen is the rider would come in. All right, and then they would stop, turn the bike off, and then you refuel the bike, and then you could swap riders if you wanted to. Okay, and then you go back out. There's a little entryway, and then you gotta stop, and then you make sure nobody's coming, and then you head on back onto the track. Right, that way you'll get the full lap. If you go through the normal way. If you go through the normal way to get back on the track, you're going to skip the transponder and you're not going to get a lap. Okay, so you're going to lose a lap. So that's why you have to do it that way. Okay, guys. And so the riders' meeting starts, and then I think so. I guess they're running a little bit late. I forget why we were running late, but so they postponed the race 15 minutes. Okay, which kind of sucks. Okay, it's better. Like it's I don't have to think as much if it's 00, okay? So at 8 o'clock you start, right? And then an hour from 8 o'clock is 9 o'clock. The hour from 9 o'clock is 10 o'clock, all right? Because we're working on the hour, okay, guys? And so now they added an extra 15 minutes to it. So now we have to do the math now, all right? So now we got to, instead of 8:15. The next rider goes on at 9:15, and then 10:15, and 11:15. So it just kind of makes it, it makes it a little more difficult. Okay, remember, keep it simple, stupid. All right, the KISS method. All right, but it made it a little more difficult. All right, so we start the race at 8:15. It's what's called a Le Mans start. All right, I think at the 24-hour race they had something you straddle the front of your fender, and then you get on the bike and you start it. But this one was a Le Mans style start, all right. I think there's a flagger, all right, and then at 8:15, the flag goes, and then the riders have to sprint over to their bike that's across from the racetrack, all right, and then they have to the bike has to be dead, all right, it can't be on, so better make sure it's warm already, okay, and then oh yeah, so before that. They had to go test their transponders out. Okay, they ride down under the transponder receiver, and then they check them to make sure they all work. Okay, and they were good. Okay, and then what was it? Actually, we didn't even need a transponder. We were using the same one that we used last year because the Shasta transponder system or the lap timer system is the same as the one that we're using in Reno. Okay, so yeah, 8:15, green flag goes up. The racers run over to their bike, they start their bike, and then they go out. I think we came out third. I think Dean on the 150R was first, and he was hauling the mail, okay? And I can't quite remember who was second. But anyway, we started off third. Our first rider was Kevin. All right, so Kevin went out first, and he was third, and then he raced for about an hour. Nothing crazy happened. All right, he goes in. And then Owen is next up. So when he gets, this is the pit procedure, all right, guys. So each lap is about a minute. So 2 minutes before they need to pull off, we gotta go wave our signboard. We have a signboard, all right. It says, "Hey, come in 2 laps," all right. And and then we go. It's kind of the area where like the grandstands are, sort of, so the riders can see you, okay. And then So the next rider gets on at 9:15, right? So we gotta throw the sign up at 9:13, all right? So we throw the sign up, all right, and then so he knows I'm gonna come back after 2 laps, we're gonna pit in. So they go into the hot pit, all right, and then he hops off the bike. They turn the bike off, and then they open the thing. And so Hayes Mega's job, all right, I'm not gonna lie, my job was I'm making the video, right, guys? I'm the documenter. I'm filming. I'm shooting the documentary, all right, guys. So make sure you guys watch that, all right. And so I'm getting a picture. Actually, I also work the signboard too, okay, guys? Because I had my pit scooter, I can kind of zip around back and forth a bunch of places real quick. So that's what I did. I did the signboard. I came back. I got my camera. Then they go in. Kevin hops off the bike. They turn the bike off. They refuel it. And I'm shooting video at the same time. All right. And then once it's full, they close the lid. Owen hops on the bike, fires it up, and he goes on out. Okay. I think they were saying Kevin was doing like a 103s or something. All right. And then I think Owen got it down to 101. All right, so he's one of our faster riders, as we'll say. I'm one of the slower riders. Okay, honestly, it doesn't really matter how fast you go, guys. It matters if you can finish the race and also not crash. Okay, guys. You try to not. The goal is to not break the bike. Okay, guys. Okay, and then so everything goes without incident for a while. Okay, so actually. So they wanted to give Kevin a longer break, so they switched me and Kevin. I was supposed to go on at noon, but I went back to 11, all right? So it's 11 o'clock. It's my, so about half an hour before I got to go out, I got to put all my gear on, so that's what I did. I put all my gear on, and I get ready, and I'm stretching in there on all that. I'm not going to lie, I'm already kind of tired from practice the other day, but whatever. So I'm getting ready to do my hour stint. And yeah, so it happens without incident. All right. Yeah, we come in. I can't work the signboard because I'm gonna hop on the bike. We come in to refuel the bike. I hop on the bike. I get on the bike, and yeah. So I'll have a race footage video of my like 1 hour on the bike. Okay, guys. You guys will see the whole 1 hour, and you guys will see what it looks like out on the track. But you're just out there with everybody. There's the lightweight bikes and the heavyweight bikes on the track. There's going to be a plethora of different riders, right? You're going to see a lot of stuff, right? You might see a fast bike, but maybe the rider's kind of slow, and you might be able to pass them, all right? Or they could be a fast bike with the fast rider, you know, that kind of stuff. Different combinations, all right? So, but the important thing is to, yeah, just keep the bike running, but also be kind of competitive, right? At the same time, all right? Because you're out racing, all right? And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of boring when you're out there by yourself. It'd be nice to go play around with some people, okay? I tried my best to be the best roadblock as possible, okay? Because our bike is big, all right? Our bike is big, and most of our riders, we're big dudes, okay? so we can do some blocking, all right? We can slow the other racers down, all right? I remember I saw, dude, there was a dude riding the KLX out there. It was like kind of like a stock KLX. It wasn't fast at all, man. And I could not keep up with that KLX, man. It was fast. So I'm not gonna lie, it took me about half an hour to kind of get used to the bike. Right, while I was out there, it was kind of slipping and sliding around. I think there was like about 2 places on the track there to sweeper turns. Okay, guys. If you guys don't know, Desert Park Raceway does not have the best surface to race on. Okay, guys, the surface is kind of shit in the certain places. All right, guys. So that's why the grip is just, it's not very good at Desert Park. So you kind of have to be careful. Okay. But yeah, the bike is running good. Oh, another thing is I have a problem with my wrist. Okay, I kind of injured my wrist after so much racing. I got a pain like right here when I twist the throttle all the way. All right, so it must be from racing, right? And yeah, so that's a scoop. I was worried about that, but I was able to go the whole hour. Okay, guys, I was hurting, but I could go the whole hour. It took me half an hour to get used to the bike, and then I got faster and faster. All right, and then about the 45-minute, I'm kind of on fire, but also I'm kind of getting tired at the same time. It's past noon already, guys. So it's definitely like around the 80s. All right, the wind's not blowing too hard, and I'm getting hot, and I'm getting thirsty, and the seat is starting to get hot and burn my butt. All right. Also, I brought my leathers to race in. All right, guys. I thought like, oh, I think it'll be nice and cool weather for leathers. All right, Hayes and Mega races either in leathers or like a dirt bike gear. Okay, and my dirt bike gear, it's got Under Armour and all that stuff. So, but honestly, leathers is probably better than the dirt bike gear. But the nice thing about dirt bike gear is it flows air better. Right, it's cooler and it's lighter. Right, but I didn't bring it. Okay, guys. So I'm out there in my leathers. I'm cooking on the seat. I'm getting monkey butt and everything, and like yeah. But then like I was able to go off, and I think I put some pretty good lap times in. So I was thinking I might ride kind of conservatively. You know, I'm trying to ride just so I don't get tired and stuff. But I'm not gonna lie, I was trying my hardest the whole time. Okay, guys, I was trying my hardest the whole time, and I was having fun. All right, and so was everybody else. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was watching everybody race, and yeah, dude, everyone was fired up, and they were excited to go race and all that stuff. All right, so I leave. Well, so yeah, at some point, we're noticing, hey, you know that the front tire is not doing so hot. Yeah, so that's one thing I noticed about the bike. It understeered a lot. All right, we go into the corner. You go into the corner, and you're trying to load up the suspension, and you feel the front. It's kind of sliding. The front wants to slide more than the rear. Okay, so what do? Well, try to get on the throttle a little more. Try to make the back slide too. All right, so. That's what I would do, all right? But yeah, I noticed like the front's not gripping so good, and I guess that tire was kind of old or something. I don't know. But it didn't last very long. Okay, so at some point, like at the halfway point, at like 6 hours or something, we had to swap it out. All right, so what we did is we had I can't remember who it was. All right, but you guys will see it in the video. We had the rider come in, and we told them, hey. We instead of stopping at the hot pit, we told him, hey, go to the pit. We're gonna swap the tire, right? So Arrow had another wheel from I think a 690 SM 690. All right, it's a 690 Supermoto, and he said you could use that same wheel on the bike. All right, so they so we're gonna swap the wheels. All right, which is the best thing to do. All right, however, the 690 has an ABS ring on it, so the brake rotor doesn't fit. All right, so we're already kind of fucked up. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so we gotta take it back out and then take the rotor out and swap the rotor. All right, and good thing the rotor didn't fall off. Good, all right, because we didn't use any torque wrenches. All right, guys. And then we put the wheel back on, all right, and we went back out. We lost about 20 minutes doing that wheel swap, which is not bad, right? It's not too bad, but 20 minutes is like 20 laps, all right? So also by this time, Squid Factory has had serious problems with their bike. The freaking chain guide has come off and lodged itself. It got stuck, and they had to unstuck it, and I guess they did. And then I think they had to make a new chain. Yeah, they wound up making a new chain out of 2 chains or something, and something happened to the chain. They had to cut it or something, so they had to make a new chain, and they lost a lot of time. I think they lost about an hour to try to get it back on the road. All right, yeah, so they were not having a good day. I can't think if anybody had any other problems. Oh, yeah. Supermoto Syndicate, the other team we were racing against that had the 150R, their axle almost fell off. All right, so one of their riders, Bryce Crawford, he came in and the axle was just hanging out there. All right, so they got really lucky, and then so they lost. I don't know. They must have lost like 10, 20 minutes trying to find another nut to put on the axle. All right, and then so they lost some time, but they're literally one of the fastest bikes out there. So they lost some laps, and because of that. And also, another thing about the 150R team, the Supermoto Syndicate, is that 150R, it drinks gasoline a lot, all right? So it's really fast bike, all right, guys? It's a race bike. It's not an endurance bike. So it just drinks fuel, all right? So they said they had to come in every 40 minutes. Every 40 minutes they had to refuel. They didn't necessarily have to change riders, but they had to refuel, okay? So that's kind of counter what we're doing, all right? It's different than what we're doing. We're like, hey, we're just keep it simple, change rider, refuel every hour, okay? We're minimize our stops as much as possible, okay? the 150R team, they have to stop more often because their bike is just, it's thirsty, all right? So maybe they need a bigger gas tank. Okay? Yeah, and then so they have that problem with the axle, and we actually caught up to them. We were behind them, all right? So by this point, the M Factory West guys are just killing it. We're noticing, man, that bike is really fast. The riders are really fast. When I was out there on my stint, Cassidy Haas was riding it, and I knew it was faster than our bike, all right? And we'd be out there. I would see the bike. You know, I'd try my best to block him, all right? But he would just, you know, it's got more power than ours, so he would just pass me, and then I would try to keep up. And Cassidy would just kind of just slowly pull away from me. I think he might have lapped me like 3 times in that 1 hour. So not too bad, all right? Hayes Mega is, our bike is, Hayes Mega and the Ramrod bike are not that slow. Not that much slower than that bike, but it's enough to, yeah, their bike is definitely got more power than ours, even though it's like a 200, okay? I don't know. It might not even be a 200, all right? It could be like a 240 with cams and a stroker crank and all this crazy stuff, okay, guys? Yeah. Okay, so that's the scoop. And so yeah. So the M Factory West guys are killing it, all right? They're killing it. We caught up to Supermoto Syndicate, and the whatchamacallit, the Squid Factory bike is kind of almost SOL, all right? But yeah, eventually they get the Squid Factory bike running again, and they get out there. Yeah, I think they got it running again before I went out, and I saw it on track, okay, guys? And I noticed it runs freaking horrible, all right? There's smoke coming out of it, a lot of smoke. It probably needs a new it needs a rebuild, new pistons or piston ring or something. And I hear a clanking sound. You can hear a clank, 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 clank. And the bike is like slow as shit, all right? I don't know, maybe because the riders doesn't want to ride it too hard, but yeah. And I passed it a couple times, so it kind of got my confidence up. Thanks, Good Factory guys. Okay, oh yeah. Okay, so what happens is that yeah, I think when Sam went out, all right? So Sam was when Sam was out there, he came back suddenly. Oh, no. What happened was he came back early, all right? So right when his time was up, I put the signboard up, but he exited. He exited, and he just motioned like, pits. We need to go to the pits, and so he just keeps on rolling to the pits. And what happened was the throttle cable broke. Okay, so the throttle cable broke, and so we needed to fix it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You would think that's kind of a weird problem, but it's not. All right, it's actually kind of a common problem. You should be replacing your throttle cables every once in a while. Okay, and we probably should have after the 24-hour race. We were like, but it only has like 24 hours on it. But that's 24 hours of just you're just twisting the shit out of that throttle, right? So it wasn't so happy. Okay, so what we had to do was. We found another throttle cable, right? We found the bike that had it, and it was Tom's pit bike, all right? We stole the we stole the throttle cable from Tom's pit bike, and then we installed it. All right, I'll say thanks, Connor. All right, Connor is Tom's son, and we were able to get it thanks to Connor. All right, and yeah, so we spend, yeah, I think we spend like about like half an hour trying to get this other cable on there, all right? So the problem with the Ramrod bike is that there's not a lot of space to run the cables, so they had to run the cables through the frame. And so it's very difficult to get the cable through the frame. It's not like other bikes where you can just run the cable alongside the frame. You know, there's not enough room for whatever reason, okay? So I was like, oh, well, I don't really know the bike, so Errol has to work on the bike, all right? So Errol's the one that built the bike, so he's the one, you know, doing most of the work. And then, yeah, so they get the cable in there. They have to fish it in there is what they do. They tape it to the new cable, and then they drag the new cable in there. All right, it was kind of hard, and, yeah, everything is just kind of hard to get to and stuff. Yeah, man. They had to take the top of the carb off to get the cable out, and they put the new cable in. All right, and then they get it in there, and then I guess I think the next rider goes out. Somebody goes back out, and then eventually Errol it's Errol's turn to go, and the throttle cable breaks again. Okay, guys. So we've had 2 throttle cable failures. What Hazelmega thinks is that that we probably should have replaced it after the 24-hour race, and we replaced it with a throttle cable that was used. Okay, guys. Probably used to do like wheelies and all this crazy stuff. All right, guys. But yeah, so we kind of shit out of luck with the throttle cables. What can I say, right? And so we couldn't find another throttle cable. So what we did is we repaired the one that was on there. All right. So what we did is we cut the cable because it was frayed. Then we took the hot start collet, and then we put it on the throttle cable. And then we had to modify the collet so it would fit in the throttle cable housing because it was too big. Yeah, man, it was just one thing after another, but we got it running again. All right, we got it working again. It took it took longer than it took the last time, right? Than just replacing the cable. Okay, so in total we had to do for mechanical stuff. We had to do the tire. Oh, and I didn't get a chance to race with another tire. I'll tell you why in a bit. All right, guys, but. Yeah, so we changed the tire, and from what I heard, that tire was the culprit why the bike was understeering. Right? They were saying the bike was handling much better with the stickier front tire. Okay, a fresher front tire is what I want to say. Okay, it's to be expected. All right. We were like down about an hour. Okay, we pretty much had an hour of downtime by then, and so we had actually dropped behind Supermoto Syndicate now. All right, and then when our throttle cable broke the second time, all right, because Errol just went. I think Errol went out, and he came back like 10 minutes later, and he was just like, throttle broke. The throttle's broken again. The throttle's broken again. So it's the same thing with last time. He just rolled straight to the pits, and then we had to work on the bike. All right, so a little bit before that, the M Factory West guys come in, all right? Because we know, like, man, these guys are just killing it. Their bike is fast and it's reliable, all right? They're being very efficient out there, and so they actually pit in, all right? They pit in, and they need to change their rear tire. Their rear tire was smoked. I got a video about it. All right, check it out, guys. But it took them a while to change it, all right? But they actually went out before we went back out, all right? Before we get our throttle cable rectified. All right, the throttle cable situation, and then and so by that time I'm supposed to go on at 5 o'clock. Yeah, I'm supposed to go on at 5 o'clock. It's kind of nice and cool now. It's a nice time to go ride. It's a little windy, you know. I wouldn't be so hot, you know. It would be a nice time to be out on the track. And then I said, like, well, I'm already looking at it, and it's like 5:30 already. Oh yeah. Also, we'd had to adjust our times also. And so we lost so much time. We had to adjust our intervals on the bike now. So we wound up being for the remainder of the race we were doing 50-minute stints. Okay, and then so it got even shorter. But we didn't fix the throttle cable until like 5:30. So it's like I'm already like most of the way through my thing, and I don't have I'm helping them work this cable, and I'm shooting video about it, and I got my suit on, but I still have to put all my my back protector, my boots, and all that crap to get back on track. And Errol's already still got his stuff on, and he was barely out on the track. He was out there for a few minutes, and he came back in. so I said, hey Errol, just go back out, man. Just go use my time. Come back when I'm supposed to be finished, and then just keep on going. Okay. So after that, we had no more problems with the throttle cable. All right, no more throttle cable drama. All right, so that's definitely one of the things that we're going to want to refresh for next year is the throttle cable. Okay, guys, it happens. I've had it happen. I've changed the throttle cable on my DR a bunch of times because I don't want that to happen. I've broken a throttle cable on my quad before, and I had to just pull the cable to get it back to my thing. All right, yeah, a busted throttle cable could happen at like the worst time, guys. Okay, so hopefully it doesn't happen to you. Replace your throttle cable regularly. Okay, guys. If you think it's got a lot of hours or miles on it, replace it. Okay, guys. Or also do maintenance on it. Lube it and stuff. So that could help. All right, but yeah, we had no more mechanical problems. So yeah, Sam goes out and he's killing it. Sam is really fast. He's one of our fastest riders. He's a big dude too. He was killing it out there. We're trying to get our times back. All right. And then Georgie goes out, and then he's the last guy. All right. And it's starting to get dark now. And then the last 10 minutes of the race, I'm telling you, dude, it turned into like a sprint race. All right. Everyone is just like, we're going faster and faster. They know time is almost up. You know. And yeah, they're gonna go out. They're gonna go out with a bang. And there are all these crazy races going on. I watched this race between Mark Eckert on the TTR 125, Jeremy Callender on a Nighthawk, and Georgie on the Ramrod bike. Man, they were going at it, man. So the Ramrod bike was picking on the TTR 125 because it's got more power than the TTR, man. TTR is not a very fast bike, right? But it is fast around the corners, okay? And Mark was a very good rider, okay? I know that. And then there's Jeremy. Jeremy's just slaying it on the Nighthawk. Like Jeremy's just putting on consistently fast lap times on the Nighthawk. He's just killing it on there, and then the race ends, okay? And that's the end of it, and then so all the bikes finished. All right, guys, that's amazing. All right, after an endurance race to have all the bikes finish. Fortunately, yes, we finished. We finished last year too. All right, but we had to swap bikes. Yeah, we finished, and that was the end. All the bikes made it. All right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the bikes had some kind of drama going on with it. A lot of the big bikes had to change tires, is what I'll say. And then so at the end, the M Factory West guys, they overall they won. All right, they had the most laps. Okay, guys, I'll put a picture of the lap counts right now. M Factory West had 684 laps, okay, at the end of the day. All right, and then so they had the most, out of all the teams, they had the most laps, all right, and they got the first place in the heavyweight class, all right, they killed it, all right. The second place was the Supermoto Syndicate. They had 664 laps, okay, and then we came in third with 563. We had like, oh, jeez. All right, and so with that, we were about like 100 laps a bit less than Supermoto Syndicate because we had like an hour of downtime. That's about right. That's about 100 laps, right? So a little more than an hour actually. So and then the Squid Factory, they wound up coming in last. Okay, better luck next time, Squid Factory. Jeremy put on a good show at the end, but it wasn't enough to get him on the podium, unfortunately. Okay, so they came in fourth with 513 laps. Having that chain problem again cost them a lot. All right, they also had to do a front tire. They changed the front tire. I got a video about it. All right, so check it out. Check out my vlog about the whole thing. Okay, guys, Hayes Mega shot some videos here and there. Okay, and yeah, we got third. A crazy thing is Nick Chick. All right, the guy that was on our team last year. He got first place in lightweight, all right? He's the guy that rode it pretty much by himself, okay? Him and Cameron Bellamy was a celebrity relief rider, okay, guys? Yeah, two really good guys on a little teeny tiny little bike, okay? Yeah, he was super tired after, but he did it by himself, and he did great. Good job, Nick. Mad props to him. Team Smash got second place, all right? That was the team with the Kayos. All right, that's the one that Moto bailed on them. Okay, and then Mile Highsiders got third place with 647 laps. Okay, and then I think the Slick Hicks got fourth place with 608. Yep. Okay, so yeah, there you go. Those are the final scores, all right, guys. And so we got third place. We took home a little plaque, all right. I don't have it. Errol has it, all right. He's a team captain. He's the owner of the bike, so he gets it. I have a picture of it, though. I'll show it to you right now. Okay? Yeah, there it is, all right. So we also got a team picture. Check it out. All right. yeah, and so that's it. That's the end of the race. All right, and so at the end of the AAR, what do we do, guys? So our bike made it. All right, our bike made it. We had about an hour of mechanical, downtime. All right, because of mechanical stuff. One was the tire change, and then we had the throttle cables break. All right. Last year we had problems with the clutch. Last year we had problems with the motor blowing up. And we had problems with the brakes, all right, I think. And then we had problems with the motor mount cracking, okay? So we didn't have any of those problems except the motor mount cracking, okay? So we cracked the motor mounts again. Errol made it really strong. He boxed it in, and it's still cracked, all right? So he's got to figure out why, somehow, some way to make it not crack, okay? But it ran that way. It ran fine that way, okay? So I guess it wasn't that big a deal, all right? Yeah, the chain was fine. We had to change the front tire, all right? We didn't have to change the front tire, I'm not going to lie, but it definitely was at the wear bar, okay? And they were saying it was much better with the new tire, okay? So maybe one of the improves for next year is, yeah, make sure we got some fresh tires on there, and make sure we got some fresh spares ready to go on the bike, all right? Like ready to go on the bike. Like, so we don't have to swap the rotor. We just, swap the wheel. It's much easier to swap the wheel than to install a tire, all right? But not that much. It depends how good you are at changing a tire, all right? If you've got a tubeless, then you can swap the tire really easy. Also, Errol has a Rabaconda tire changer, and we could probably use that to do tire swaps. He was saying that front tire is a tubeless tire, okay? So it's a tubeless rim. So we don't need to put a tube on it, so it makes it easier, okay? But however, you would probably need an air compressor to seat the bead. That's another one of the problems, all right? Jeremy's the Squid Factory team did have a compressor when they changed their tire, okay? I think it took them about 20 minutes to change that tire. It was real quick. So yeah, just like us, we took about 20 minutes. I can't remember, man, but. And then I think the M Factory guys, they had to change a rear. It's kind of weird. We had to change the front. Squid Factory changed the front, and M Factory West changed the rear. All right, they smoked their rear. Usually the rear wears out faster than the front, so I don't know, man. So yeah, so just make sure we got a fresh set of tires ready or a fresh set of wheels ready would be good, and to make the swapping thing a lot easier, Also, we should probably install a fresh throttle cable, okay? I don't know. We're talking about ways we can upgrade the bike for next year also. Yeah, so the throttle cable was the next problem with the bike, okay? So definitely probably want to put a fresh throttle cable on there or find out what the problem is, all right? So what we think is the problem is that I think it has an oversized carb, and when you twist the throttle too much, it's pulling the cable really hard, and we're pulling it too hard, all right, and it's stretching the cable, or it's pulling the cable. There needs to be a throttle stop on the throttle mechanism, all right, like a limiter to how much you can twist it open, so like we're not yanking the cable, like it's not stopping and you're yanking the cable really hard, okay? It's kind of weird because we didn't have that problem in the 24-hour race, okay? What Errol said he's going to probably do is he's going to try to find a way to reroute the wiring. So it's, yeah, he's going to find a way to reroute the wiring so it doesn't have to be inside the frame. So he's going to work on that. And then what I said is, like, you could do, you can take a second throttle cable, zip tie it to the throttle cable. So if one goes bad, all you have to do is switch the ends, and then you're back in the game, right? It's not that difficult. You don't have to fish the cable through the whole thing, right? But it's not that hard because it's like a dirt bike, But yeah, it would make it a lot easier, and you wouldn't be looking around for a cable. You could do that for the clutch also, but they were saying, we don't really use the clutch all that much. But I'm like, well, never know, man. That's what I'll say. So I would do that for the clutch and the throttle. Have a second throttle cable and clutch cable ready to go, all right? Or zip tied to the one that's on there, if there's space. If not, just make sure you got one on hand, all right? So we're not bumming freaking throttle cable from a pit bike or something like we did, okay? Yeah, so our bike is, not gonna lie, it's kind of slow. It's slower than all the other heavyweights. Maybe it might be faster than it's faster or about as fast as the Nighthawk. Okay, the Nighthawk not very fast. I don't know. I haven't get to ride the Nighthawk with when they modified it. All right, but when I rode it when it was stock, it was slow as shit. Okay, it was heavy and slow, but it's gotten a lot. They've changed it a whole lot. All right, so but I never got to ride it after that. Yeah, so we got to find a way to make the bike more powerful. I think so. What we're thinking of, Errol's thinking of, is to put a cam in it. So we'll cam it. He's thinking about adding like a fuel injection or something. He says it already has a racing CDI, all right, a racing ignition. So yeah, I don't know what else we can do to the bike. We're at the biggest displacement we can use for it already. So yeah, and that. So we just got to make the bike a little bit faster. Would be nice. All right, our bike is kind of slow. I'm not gonna lie. All right, but it brakes really good, so that's the good thing about it. All right, so we're gonna try to find a way to make it go faster. That's what I want to say. Other than that, it's a good bike. It's pretty comfortable to ride, long periods of time, and yeah, it's for like adults. Okay, it's adult size. All right, and so here's some stats from our race. My GPS says we rode 343 miles. We had a max speed of 57 miles. Our moving average was 32.2 miles an hour. We had a moving time of 10 hours and 40 minutes. Okay, so that shows you how much downtime we had. So 12 hours. So you take 12 hours and you subtract that from 10 hours and 40 minutes. You've got an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, we had an hour and 20 minutes of downtime. All right, so that's a lot. That costs us, our chance to get second place at least. We're at some point. We were second place, okay, guys, but then we had all these problems with our bike, and then, yeah. Okay, so that's the end of the AR. Please watch my vlog, my documentary video, okay, my vlog video about the whole event, all right? You guys will see it unfold as, I was seeing it unfold myself, okay? And then yes, there is my race footage if you guys want to see what it's like out on track for 1 hour, okay? You can see how well I was riding. I was probably one of the slower guys on the team. I'm not gonna lie, man. But as long as you can bring the bike back without breaking it, there was no mishaps with me on the bike. Okay, it was pretty smooth sailing for me, as I want to say, and I had a whole lot of fun. Like I said, towards the ends of my stint. Oh yeah. Okay, so another thing. Yeah, towards the end of my stint, I started getting in the zone, and I got faster and faster and faster. And I figured out the track a little better, right? I know, like Hayes Megas races the electric bikes all the time, and I've kind of, I've gotten spoiled by them, so now I have to shift and everything, so I have to go figure out all the shift points, all right? I know before the first turn, what I do is I downshift twice really fast, I brake real hard, and then I downshift one more time, and I turn it, and I can carve that number one turn pretty good, all right? And a lot of bikes were not able to keep up with me, or I was able to get around turn one and catch up to a lot of bikes. All right, so that's where I was one of the fastest. Okay, and yeah, pretty good. So I think next year we'll be doing that. Hayes Mega's kind of throwing up the idea of I want to do an electric bike for an endurance race. Okay, guys, but that's going to be kind of tough. Because electric bikes, the motor overheats, okay? The motor overheats, the battery overheats, and then you have to have a whole bunch of batteries, okay? So that's the problem. But I'd like to do it, but it would kind of be expensive, okay? Because of the batteries, okay? And also we need to find a bike that will not overheat, all right? So the Alta motor won't overheat, but you can't swap the batteries, right? So we need to be able to swap the batteries and then charge the batteries and all that stuff and keep them cool, all right? Especially if the weather gets hot. So yeah. So we got to find a bike that can just keep on going without overheating, all right? Or lower the power enough where like it won't overheat, that type of thing. So yeah, Hayes Mega's going to try to figure that out, but at some point Hayes Mega would like to build an electric endurance racing bike. Okay, but I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. Another thing Hayes Mega thought about, what I thought about doing is building a Super KLX. Okay, so Hayes Mega has the KLX 140. That's my first mini super moto bike. It's my first, yeah, it's the first bike I started racing on, the KLX 140, and it just kind of sits in the backyard, and I have a 170 kit on it, and there's a whole boatload of mods that you can do on it to make it a 220. All right, you can make it a 220, bigger heads, stroker crank, yeah man, you name it, all sorts of stuff. All right, hopefully it'll be reliable. Okay, I don't know how reliable that engine is, but yeah, as you can see, a highly modified engine like the M Factory West, they won the race. All right, guys. So as long as as long as it's reliable, that's all that matters. Hopefully it'll be reliable and it'll be fast. I'll tell you this: my KLX 170 is faster than our Ramrod 230 bike. Okay, guys, I know that for sure. Okay, it handles better. It's got more power because it's lighter and it's smaller, but it doesn't brake as good. All right, the brakes aren't as good on it. So, but you don't really need that good of brakes. All right, I just downshift a lot with it. All right. But yeah, Hayes Mega's kind of thinking of tossing that idea of us using the KLX as to make my own endurance race team with the KLX 170. All right. We would either use the KLX 170 or I would build the KLX, the Super KLX. All right. Hayes Megas kind of wants to build a Super KLX, but maybe we can try the KLX 170. I'm not sure. Okay. Like I said, I was gonna use it as our backup bike, but they didn't allow backup bikes, unfortunately. Okay, so the KLX just stayed at home, unfortunately. All right, so, but I've got some upgrades with the KLX, so we'll see what happens to it. Yeah, maybe we can just have a race team with that, but then I would need to get extra tires and stuff, so that's another problem. Yeah. Okay, anyway, so that's the end of the AAR, and those are some of the improves and things that's going to happen in the future. All right, hopefully next year we'll be able to do this race again. All right, I don't know if it's going to be in Shasta or if it's going to be at Desert Park. Honestly, I like the 12-hour better. The 12-hour is easier, okay, guys. But I wouldn't be mind to be up for 24 hours either, okay. The weather was great the whole time. All right, like I said, it might have dipped into the 90s a little bit. All right, it did get a little toasty in the daytime, but it was I've seen worse, okay. and it got cooler at the end of the day. All right, it got much cooler at the end of the day. So that's good. But also you lose traction too. So if it gets cooler. Okay, so that's a scoop. Make sure you check out the race videos. All right, the race video and my vlog for the whole thing. If you guys want to see the chaos and drama unfold. All right, guys, I got it. I got bits and pieces of it on video. All right, guys, at least from my perspective. Okay. All right, thanks for watching. Here's me out. That's the AAR for the NNKC or the Sierra Nevada Moto Championship 12-hour endurance race that took place at Desert Park Raceway, May 25th, 2025. Here's my guy.